throws we've seen from Trevor Smith tonight. One flew over a receiver's head, and the other one that flew over a receiver's head wound up being a touchdown for Norristown. So
that's right. Of course,
ground game being successful.
Yeah, of course, I was incorrect. He has ventured to throw it, but without any success. In fact, it cost him 7.
The pitch to Bradley. Cuts to the outside with speed. He just couldn't stay in bounds. He got to the outside and seemed to kind of lose his balance and fall out of bounds. The break there for Norristown as he was destined for the end zone.
With speed is correct, Greg. Junior Rondell Bradley showed great speed getting to the outside. And again, a lot of room out there. You know, Truman's not going to test the middle of that Norristown defense down this close to the goal line. But again, with success running to the outside, Norristown's going to have to do something to string out that line a little bit more.
First and goal from the 4-yard line for Truman. He started this second quarter. Bradley on the handoff. He's wrapped up. Eludes Darryl Johnson, but not going to get away from Doug White. Good stand there by the Norristown Eagles.
Yeah, he eluded Darryl Johnson, but Darryl Johnson still made that play. John Slemmer was the lead blocker as Truman went with a full house backfield, all 3 guys that time. And John Slemmer shot off the ball onto that left side. Looked like he was supposed to just chip Darryl Johnson, just give him a little bump so that the back could slip inside him. But Darryl Johnson eluded Slemmer like he was eluding a linebacker on the other side of the ball. With Darryl Johnson playing offense, of course, for the Eagles. And he broke up the play, really.
Pitches outside to Bradley. Good block on the outside there. We have a flag thrown. A huge hit on the field.
Yes, Slemmer did not miss that time. He sure as heck was not going to miss his guy. And again, it was Darryl Johnson who had the unfortunate task of being that guy who had to take on John Slemmer.
I think we have a clipping call on Truman. Couldn't quite see the call. We opened up our little manual to see the, they always give us the little manual with the little guys showing us what call it is, so we have to refer to it every once in a while, but that was the easy one. That was clipping.
And the important thing is it's 15 yards either way, and that is a huge penalty. That might be as big as that interception that Trevor Smith threw, because that might take 7 points off the board for the Truman.
Not good when you're second and goal and you're outside the 10-yard line. Not something you want to do.
10, they're outside the 20.
20 yards to go. John Slemmer wrapped up again. Good pursuit there by the Eagles. And number 78, Doug White.
But a strange call that time, Greg. I mean, I know you have to keep it mixed up and you have to keep the defense on their toes, but Truman's been getting big yardage with some of their speed backs with Sean Frazier and Rondell Bradley. And now they're faced with a 2nd and 21. They obviously are not very confident throwing the ball. I think we just saw that there. And they go with the fullback, John Slemmer. And I'm certainly not suggesting that John Slemmer can't get big yardage. I just don't think he has the big yardage capability that some of those other guys do. And at this point, when you're down there, you have to take your shot.
3rd down, Smith rolls out. We got a man in the corner. That's a touchdown. Appeared to be number 8, Alan Osborne. Trevor Smith roll out. He threw that ball straight up in the air. It was forever, and Alan Osborne with a lot of space out there. That's a touchdown for the Truman Tigers.
Well, that's in my face. Head coach Galen Snyder set me up that time. They went with the short yardage play on 2nd down and then threw the ball behind Troy Swittenberg into that corner on 3rd down. So a nice play call by the Truman Tigers.
A disappointment there for the Eagles, letting them score from a pretty far distance. Extra point attempt from Truman. Be from Justin Dozier. Kick is up, and it's good. So with 9:34 left to play in the second quarter, Truman has tied the game at 7. This Norristown crowd showed a little bit of excitement after that 15-yard penalty. All of a sudden got real quiet.
Yeah, and let's give a lot of that credit to sophomore Trevor Smith. Just tossed the ball up in the air, but he had his man in the corner, and he put that ball where the Norristown defenders were not going to get it, right on the sideline, and just let his man run to it, waiting in the corner of the end zone. Norristown somehow just lost that coverage. I said he threw it behind Troy Swittenberg. He was the closest there. I wasn't able to pick up the coverage. So I'm not suggesting that it was Troy Swittenberg's guy back there, but they managed to slip it over everybody in that Norristown defense.
It lulls you to sleep a little bit with the you run the ball, you run the ball, you run the ball, and then on that play, guy who you haven't seen throw a pass even near one of his receivers tonight throws a good ball to the corner of the end zone.
I think that's a big part of it. I think that Norristown obviously was not prepared for the passing play on that time, certainly on 3rd and goal. I mean, what's your main objective? Don't let him get it into the end zone. And Trevor Smith threw that ball into the end zone, and it was behind the Norristown defenders. So they certainly did not look prepared for a big play like that. And I think they'll have a little more respect for Trevor Smith's throwing ability now.
Folks, this is what I think it is. This is the first fullback I've ever seen kick off. John Slemmer taking the kick for Truman.
Well, the way he's run tonight, he just might blow this thing apart.
Audley Stewart and Troy Swittenberg in the backfield. You don't see Darryl Johnston taking a lot of kicks for the Cowboys, but
yeah, they're trying to set it now.
All right, now we have a delay as we're resetting the clock, trying to put a little more time back onto it per the referee's instructions. And the band has started their kickoff drum roll, so I hope their wrists are fresh and and they've just cut it off. So now they've picked up on it. I thought they were going to go all the way through, Greg. I thought we were going to have a 5-minute drum roll that time.
Well, everybody's got to be conditioned, and we'll have to talk to the band, get them running more, and doing some wrist rolls to try and keep them going. Crowd has started to fill out here at Roosevelt Field. The last game was homecoming, tonight's senior night, and a very nice crowd for a, use the word again, brisk Friday night.
Yeah, it's a nice crowd here, and I would expect and encourage that there be a great crowd next week for the North Penn game. Certainly not a far distance to travel, but that will be a spirited game, as this one has been already tonight. We're at 9:44 on the clock, and boy, I hope that's right and we don't have to run it down again.
And the drum roll is even harder because of the 2-minute rest that they had. Slemmer's kickoff, taken by Audley Stewart at the 17-yard line. It's got a seam up the middle to get out close to the 35-yard line. John Slemmer, one of the only kickers in this league that takes the kick and is the first guy down there to make the tackle, you gotta bet. So Norristown with good field position, hoping to move the ball here, put some points on the board.
Yeah, this game has really balanced out a little bit now. We're already through the first quarter, and we have a 7-7 game, and a couple big plays on both sides, a couple mistakes on both sides.
Blake back to pass on first down. He finds Darryl Johnson out in the flat. Johnson with a head of steam gets up past the 40-yard line. Good presence by Chris Blake to keep dropping back until that play developed, and Darryl Johnson with a nice run after the catch.
And great work by Troy Ellis to get off the line from his tackle position. Let Darryl Johnson cut in behind him. Johnson, to his credit as well, did not try and beat two Truman players to the outside. Let Ellis come over and just level his man, to completely take him out of the play. And Johnson cut up inside him. What looked like it was going to be a very, very short gain on that screen call turned into an 8-yard pass play.
The 2nd and 2 for Norristown. Backs in the eye. Blake to Swittenberg. First down for the A good mix-up as we see the Norristown Eagles go to the air, and then always nice to have Troy Swittenberg to go to in the backfield.
Yeah, and Troy Swittenberg is mix-up all himself. Can do all sorts of things as a running back. I mean, you'll find places where he is ranked as one of the top speedster running backs in the state. A lot of talk about him being maybe the top running back in this Power 10, and that is saying a lot with Dustin Picciotti and Heike Johnson and Brian Scott in this league. But right there, you just saw him glide for a few yards for the first.
Swittenberg again. Guess who for Truman? Or 44, John Slemmer, coming out of a linebacker position. A great stick on Troy Swittenberg.
Boy, what kind of batteries is John Slemmer running on? Because he does not stop. He's doing everything, and he looks like he's just getting better and better every play.
I'd hate to see him on senior night at Truman. This is a guy who obviously fired up for tonight's game. Swittenberg stopped in the backfield for about a 3-yard loss. 2nd and 13. Blake back to pass. Pump fake. Looks down the sidelines for James Edmonds. And that's a catch by James Edmonds for a first down. Nice ball to Chris Blake. James Edmonds keeping the feet in bounds. One of the toughest things to do with a D-back following you, and a great play.
Yeah, and sometimes the ball can be perfectly thrown and it's still an absolutely tremendous catch. And that's what that was right there. I mean, Chris Blake cannot put that ball anywhere else, but he has learned this year to just trust those big receivers. Edmonds, Solomon, Hadrick, so talented, especially down the sideline, and Edmonds made the adjustment.
First down, the pitch to Swittenberg. He gets to the outside. There he goes, tripped up on that far side. You know Troy Swittenberg was looking for the end zone there. A great run. Now Norristown, a little bit of momentum, the band playing. We got some good things happening for Norristown.
And that time again, Troy Swittenberg always head up, always vision, always looking 3 moves ahead, looking for that next blocker he can cut in behind. And when you have a running back like that, as a lineman, as a lead blocker like Darrell Johnson, just as a wide receiver, with those big wide receivers that Norristown has, you're always looking to make that block, because you know if you make a good block, Troy Swittenberg is going to use it. He uses his blockers so well, and it just feeds on itself. And the blockers then really want to block for him. Heck, the way he runs sometimes, I think Chris Blake better be ready to throw a couple, because you never know when Troy Swittenberg is coming your way.
Now another first down. Backs in the eye once again, Edmonds and Solomon, the receivers. Blake, hand off to number 5, Audley Stewart. Good job to get upfield and maybe get back to the line of scrimmage. It's the first time we've called Audley Stewart's number tonight.
Yeah, and the object, when they give the ball to Audley Stewart, is to get him into the open field. Audley Stewart had a tremendous game, the one game he played for Troy Swittenberg, who was injured. Over 200 yards rushing that game, and we've seen him have some big plays this year in spot duty from the running back position. He can be an every down back, but with Troy Swittenberg on the team, he's not going to be. So the idea when you get him in there is a little big play potential, give Swittenberg a little bit of rest, and just give the opponent a different look and a different type of running back.
Something we haven't seen all year, Josh Kinlock, the tight end. That was a receiver on the near side. Blake on the draw to Stewart. Makes a guy miss. Big play to elude Michael Moore, number 50 from Truman. A nice move by Audley Stewart, and he got some yards after that.
It's a good move, and it's just a great call, and I'll tell you why. They sent Kinlock out wide, as you mentioned, and what that does, it just takes one more guy out of the run defense for Truman. One more guy who's not up there to try and catch Audley Stewart while he's shaking and baking and making those guys miss inside. And Chris Blake, so good with the ball, drops back and looks to the right side where he has 2 receivers like he's going to throw, and then the little draw to Audley Stewart. That time it got him 4 yards because Norristown took a few more guys out of the play.
3rd and 6 for Norristown. Like to get one more first down, a little more comfortable for the Eagles. Blake back to pass. That 3-step drop again, just in and out of Damian Solomon's hands. And that'll be 4th down. Norristown using that 3-step drop from Chris Blake.
Yeah, he's been very, very good on the quick 3-step drop. That was a rare mistake by Chris Blake as he threw behind Damian Solomon. Damian Solomon's main objective right there was get to the first down marker. So he's running his route to that flag stick, and then when Chris Blake throws it a little bit behind him, Solomon's got to stop, change his momentum, and try and make a hands catch behind him. And in that case, he just was not able to do it.
See Matt Spicko attempting a field goal here. Well, as a test tonight, I'm going to let you do the math. How many yards is this field goal?
They're going to spot this one on the 25, so it's going to be a 35-yard try from Matt Spitko, certainly within his range.
Kick is up.
Nope.
Is no good.
Still about 2 yards short. So on that time, it wasn't in Matt Spitko's range, although we've certainly heard of him kicking field goals that long and much longer in practice.
Straight on, just short. Now Truman will get the ball back in Norristown territory. A good stand by Truman, and they got to feel real good that it's 7-7 right now.
And it's another thing that Norristown does not want to do is give the Truman Tigers a little more confidence. The way Norristown can really put Truman away is to absolutely run him out of the building by scoring points. I'm not talking about running the score up now. I'm just talking about, making sure that you are comfortably ahead so that Truman has no shot. And in that case, they gave a little boost of confidence to the Truman defense.
Well, everybody stood up, did the hokey pokey, and we saw all the flags be thrown. It's going to get called against the offense for a false start.
Yeah, and there was a little flinch on the Norristown side, but then John Slammer picked up and started moving along, and one of the tackles on the right side of the Truman line jumped a little bit. So the defense has a little more flexibility in their movement, but the offense can't go until that ball snapped. So Truman now being pushed back a little bit deeper.
Don't want to get pushed back too far. Starting to get closer to their end zone every time they go back. Their own 15-yard line, 1st and 15. 2 receivers to this near side. Smith with the handoff. Couple yards on that play. Man getting the ball there was number 31, Jason Bloom.
And I think Truman is probably pretty happy with where they are right now, tied late in this second quarter with the Norristown Eagles. So I think right now what they want to do is pound the ball out a little bit, run this clock down, probably not give it up for the rest of this second quarter. Maybe they're going to go down, try and put some points on the board, but I think the main objective here is try not to turn it over to the Eagles in good field position.
Smith out to the far side. Getting a lot of yards. Very close to that first down marker. Would have told you if he had gotten it, but all I saw was the guy over there holding the marker just bail out of the way and was 5 yards away by the time Trevor Smith got there.
They dropped the flag stick. It is going to be 3rd down, but they dropped the flag stick for the safety of Trevor Smith. And Smith still knew where that marker was. Dove head first for it, but he's still going to have short yardage on this 3rd down play.
Truman line doing a nice job of blocking on the quarterback keeper by Trevor Smith. With 3rd and 2 for Truman. Handoff is to Slemmer. He appeared to be stopped. Look back up, and there he was, landing on the ground, and that's a 1st down.
Yep, landed on the ground right past that marker. He was stopped, Greg. Norristown had 8 guys up tight on run defense. They were expecting the run, but that left side of the Truman line kept pushing, and we know John Slemmer is going to keep going, especially when there's a 1st down marker within reach.
The Truman driving the ball with 3:45 left in this first half. Now out to the 30-yard line of the Slemmer once again, and he'll fight for 5 yards. Second and, we'll call it 5 for Truman on the 35-yard line. Quick hitter to Slemmer up the middle. Appears that Trevor Smith looked back and almost got his arms taken off by John Slemmer coming through there.
Yeah, Slemmer did come through hard that time. He wanted to hit that hole quickly behind big number 77, Joe Champy. Champy's the right tackle at 6'3", 275, and that's where they're having a lot of their success, as Champy's getting some pretty good push off the ball. Now down to 2.5 minutes, and Truman conserving their timeouts, but moving the ball pretty well. So I think at this point, nearing midfield, they're going to start thinking about putting some points on the board.
This would be a big score for Truman right here. Once again to Slemmer, and he gets the first down. So a ball control offense from Truman for a team that we heard has had some problems scoring this year. They seem to be moving the ball really well. A good 7-1 Norristown team. Now to the 45-yard line. Man out wide, backs in the eye. Pitches to Rondell Bradley. They like that play, running to this side. Bradley picks up a couple of yards.
And that time, running the sweep allowed Norristown to get a little more pursuit, allowed those linebackers to help out that defensive line. And we are finally going to have a timeout called by Truman with 1:34 left in the first half.
Well, Truman appears to have taken some of the flash out of this Norristown team. Norristown really not able to make plays, and that's what makes them such a good team.
Well, we talked about what Norristown needed to do to win this game, but a little more of a challenge for the Truman Tigers and what they need to do to win this game. And I think what they need to do is what they've done so far. Except for cutting down on mistakes, they've actually survived a couple of big mistakes to be even here late in the first half. But they need to control the ball. Norristown's offense, I think, can be considered explosive this season. It really has big play potential and big strike potential. So they need to control the ball, keep it out of Chris Blake's hands. And everybody needs a big play now and then. You can't continually just grind it out. It's not going to work that way. And Truman got the big play. So far, everything that was probably on their game plan, it's falling out right into place. And that's why you see a 7-7 score against teams that have really seasons that are complete opposites of one another.
Norristown, I'm sure will have some things to talk about at halftime. Truman going to halftime probably very glad to be 7-7. You know, their coaches have to be very excited about that. 2nd and 8 for Truman. Back to pass, Smith, and a trip. It does find his man, number 86, Howard Asay, over the middle for a first down.
Well, that throw down the seam, the tight end Asay was, looks like another play that Truman had in reserve. Good throw by Trevor Smith as he found Asay right down the middle of the field, and Norristown again gave a little bit of room. And in that bend and don't break, prevent defense, now with Truman inside Norristown territory at the 40-yard line, Norristown's going to have to think about tightening up a little bit.
With 1:24 left, Truman moving the ball. We saw Trevor Smith come out of that, out from the snap. Appeared to trip over either a linesman's foot, but good poise by Smith to stay calm and find his man over the middle. A tight end over the middle is always a dangerous play.
Yeah, it's good for yardage, especially in situations like this where you're obviously going to cover tight on the outsides. You don't want any wide receivers with speed getting behind you. You certainly can't allow that big play on the ground. You always have to be conscious of that with Truman running the ball almost exclusively tonight. And that leaves the middle wide open. So the one opening that Norristown had, Truman exploited it on that play.
A first down from the Norristown 40. Smith back to pass once again. There was a bomb upfield, picked off by number 17, James Edmonds. We've seen him do it on the other side of the ball. Now in there as a safety, picked off that ball. He was the tallest guy out there. Nobody went up with him, and he just brought that ball in.
I don't understand the play call. I just don't understand it. But maybe not necessarily the play call, but why the ball was thrown. They had Howard Essay streaking down the slot, trying to just run straight down, outrun his man. Looked like a Hail Mary play. And they're moving the ball so well. I don't understand something that's that low percentage. Why, with over a minute left, do you go for that? I don't understand. They had stretched the Norristown defense out a little bit with that throw down the seam to Essay. Norristown was now stretched out, so now you're going to throw it right to them. And James Edmonds, offensively, defensively, 22 guys on the field. James Edmonds is the guy I want going up for the ball. And they threw it right there to him, and Norristown had him in perfect position.
Blake, the handoff to Swittenberg, changes the way he was running and gets a few yards there for Norristown.
Yeah, that Norristown made a good defensive play. They were in good position. But I think the Norristown players and the Norristown coaches know that was a gift. They were having the ball moved on them, and they couldn't quite figure out what Truman was going to do, play to play. Run left, run right, throw down the middle, and Trevor Smith on a couple keepers. They couldn't quite figure it out, and that was a gift. That was a play that played right into the strengths of Norristown. Truman looked like they really had that drive planned out. Looked like their whole season had been geared toward that drive until that play.
A little bit of impatience there from the Truman offense. And Swittenberg to the outside. A good play call there, bringing Swittenberg to this near side. Gets the first down and gets out of bounds to stop the clock. Doesn't appear without a miracle that Norristown will put some points on the board before the first half. Maybe a couple plays left. Ball at the 22.5, we'll call it. It's right in between the 20 and the 25, so. Chris Blake now. Solomon and the man in motion. Hand off to Swittenberg. We'll go up the middle.
You know, up the middle is usually considered pretty safe territory. You're going to get your 3 yards on a half decent run, your 5 or 6 yards on a very successful play up the middle. But we've seen Troy Swittenberg, most of his big runs are straight up the middle, and that's because of his running style.
And that'll be the end of the first half. Norristown got to be a little disappointed, maybe expecting bigger things tonight here on senior night. Going into halftime 7-7, we wound up having ourselves a football game here at Roosevelt Field. So once again, the score 7-7 at halftime, and we'll be back to bring you the second half from Roosevelt Field. Welcome back to Roosevelt Field, ladies and gentlemen, for second half football. We have a 7-7 tie between the Norristown Eagles and the Truman Tigers. Norristown, not a real productive first half, Walt. Still got a couple things done, but obviously not what they wanted to do tonight.
No, both teams got the ball up and down the field, but not a lot of balls made it to the end zone. And when they did make